In the quiet village of Eldrin, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, a male tiefling named Theshoon was born. His parents, Elda and Berthold, were kind-hearted individuals who believed in the goodness of all beings, even those touched by infernal heritage. They provided a nurturing home filled with love, warmth, and moral guidance. However, beneath the surface of this idyllic upbringing, a dark seed was germinating within Theshoon. From a young age, he exhibited an unusual affinity for deception. His crimson eyes would gleam with a mischievous light as he covertly observed his surroundings, his mind always a step ahead, plotting his next act of thievery. As Theshoon grew, so did his aptitude for mischief. His parents, blissfully unaware, attributed his behavior to childhood curiosity. However, Theshoon's actions were far from innocent. Toys, trinkets, and valuable items began to vanish from their rightful places, only to reappear hidden in obscure corners of the house or buried in the garden. Each successful theft brought him a perverse sense of accomplishment. His small, deft fingers moved with precision, pilfering objects with an ease that belied his youth. The thrill of taking something not his own became an addictive pleasure, one that he pursued with increasing fervor. When accusations arose, Theshoon's talent for deception shone brightly. His lies, crafted with meticulous care, flowed effortlessly from his lips. Wide-eyed and innocent, he would feign ignorance, deflecting suspicion onto others. His parents, blinded by love, believed his every word. His ability to manipulate the truth became a cornerstone of his existence. Each lie told, each blame shifted, honed his skills further. The village elders began to whisper about the boy with the silver tongue, a child who could spin a tale so convincing that even the most skeptical would doubt their own memories. The markets of Eldrin became Theshoon's personal playground. Under the cover of bustling crowds and the din of daily commerce, he refined his craft. Merchants and villagers alike fell victim to his nimble fingers. He would slip through the throngs, unnoticed, his gaze always darting, assessing potential targets. Each successful theft emboldened him, pushing him to take greater risks. The sense of invincibility grew within him, feeding his arrogance. He became a ghost in the crowd, a shadow that left behind only confusion and loss. His parents remained oblivious, attributing the missing goods to misfortune or the work of common thieves. Theshoon's propensity for violence emerged alongside his talent for theft. Insults, perceived or real, were met with swift and brutal retaliation. The anger within him was a boiling cauldron, ready to spill over at the slightest provocation. Fights became a regular occurrence, each one more vicious than the last. His peers, once potential friends, became adversaries to be dominated and broken. The satisfaction he derived from inflicting pain was palpable. He reveled in the chaos, the blood, the fear in their eyes. Each conflict left him more feared, more isolated, and more entrenched in his path of malevolence. Despite the growing animosity from his peers, Theshoon thrived on the turmoil he created. The village of Eldrin, once a peaceful haven, was now a stage for his acts of deception and violence. He moved through life like a serpent, leaving behind a trail of distrust and fear. His parents' attempts to instill virtue in him fell on deaf ears. The darkness within him had taken root, nurtured by every lie told, every item stolen, and every fight won. Theshoon's early years were marked by a relentless descent into chaos, setting the stage for the even darker path that lay ahead. As Theshoon entered adolescence, his desires grew more complex and darker. The simple joys of theft and deceit no longer sufficed to satiate his restless spirit. His burgeoning interest in women was met with scorn and rejection, each refusal stoking the fires of his inner darkness. The sting of rejection ignited a fierce determination within him to gain power over others, to control and dominate those who dared to spurn him. He saw power as the ultimate means to an end, a way to bend others to his will and exact revenge for the slights he had suffered. In his quest for dominance, Theshoon delved into forbidden knowledge. He sought out ancient tomes and whispered secrets, spending countless hours in the shadowy corners of forgotten libraries and decrepit temples. His persistence led him to the demon Mammon, a creature of unfathomable greed and malevolence. Their meeting was not by chance, but by design, as Theshoon had drawn the demon's attention through his relentless pursuit of power. The pact they formed was sealed with the ultimate betrayal. Without a moment's hesitation, Theshoon offered his parents' souls to the demon, their love and kindness repaid with eternal damnation. The transaction was swift, and Theshoon felt a dark, exhilarating rush as Mammon bestowed upon him the arcane knowledge and infernal power he so desperately craved. With his newfound powers, Theshoon embraced his role as a warlock with fervor. He reveled in the destructive potential of his abilities, particularly the eldritch blast. The raw, unbridled power coursing through him was intoxicating. He practiced relentlessly, each successful spellcasting further eroding any remnants of his humanity. The more he used his powers, the more he desired to test their limits. He would venture into the wilderness, seeking out creatures to practice on, leaving a trail of charred and mutilated bodies in his wake. The thrill of wielding such power, of being able to obliterate anything or anyone that stood in his way, consumed him. Theshoon's mastery of his powers grew alongside his cruelty. He became adept at manipulating and dominating those around him. The thrill of control was matched only by the pleasure he derived from watching others suffer. His chaotic evil nature flourished, unrestrained and unchecked. He sought out like-minded individuals, forming temporary alliances to further his goals. These alliances were always short-lived, as Theshoon's insatiable greed and lust for power inevitably led to betrayal. He saw people as mere tools, to be used and discarded once they had served their purpose. As his powers grew, so did his arrogance. Theshoon began to see himself as invincible, untouchable. He challenged authority, defied conventions, and embraced his chaotic evil nature without reservation. The world was his playground, and he intended to leave his mark on it in the most profound and destructive way possible. His training years were marked by a relentless pursuit of power and a willingness to sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve his goals. The boy who once found joy in petty theft and deception had transformed into a formidable warlock, a harbinger of chaos and destruction, with his sights set on greater conquests and darker deeds. In the present day, Theshoon's reputation as a malevolent warlock preceded him. Whispers of his deeds spread far and wide, casting a shadow over his every step. He sought out small groups of adventurers, presenting himself as a valuable ally with knowledge and power to share. His charismatic facade was convincing, drawing in those who were eager for glory and riches. Once trust was established, Theshoon would orchestrate their demise with meticulous precision. He would lead them into traps, manipulate events to his advantage, and watch with cold detachment as they fell, one by one. The spoils of their ventures, their gold, their magical artifacts, Their very lives became his to claim. Theshoon's path of destruction was littered with the bodies of those who had trusted him. He felt no remorse, only a perverse satisfaction in his ability to deceive and dominate. Each betrayal added to his legend, making him both feared and infamous. His methods became more refined, his traps more cunning. He reveled in the chaos he created, feeding off the fear and desperation of his victims. The thrill of betrayal, the rush of power, became his driving force. His chaotic evil nature had fully consumed him, leaving no room for doubt or hesitation. It was during one of his solitary escapades that Theshoon encountered Old Ben, a wise yet slightly unhinged wizard. Ben was a relic of a bygone era, his mind teetering on the edge of madness. He spoke of a hidden treasure buried deep within a dark, foreboding cave. The promise of untold riches piqued Theshoon's interest. The old wizard's eyes gleamed with a manic intensity as he described the dangers and rewards that lay within. Theshoon, ever the opportunist, saw this as yet another chance to satisfy his insatiable greed. With a malicious grin, he agreed to the mission, seeing it as a perfect opportunity to further his own ends. At the Old Stag Tavern, Theshoon met his new companions. Will Elfin, a keen-eyed ranger with a cautious demeanor, Stronglegs, a brutal half-orc fighter with a penchant for collecting the heads of his defeated foes, and Grotur, a barbarian half-orc who relished the chaos of battle. Together, they formed an unlikely alliance, each driven by their own motivations. Theshoon's facade of camaraderie was flawless, his true intentions hidden beneath a veneer of friendship. He observed his new companions carefully, noting their strengths and weaknesses, already planning how best to use and ultimately betray them. As they embarked on their journey, Theshoon's mind was already plotting their inevitable demise. The allure of the treasure, coupled with the thrill of deceit, spurred him onward. He played his part perfectly, offering guidance and support, all the while manipulating events to suit his plans. The journey was fraught with danger, each step bringing them closer to their goal and their doom. Theshoon's powers were put to use in subtle and cunning ways, ensuring that he always came out on top. The journey through the dark cave tested their skills and resolve, but Theshoon remained focused on his goal. His mind raced with possibilities, each scenario more twisted than the last. The thrill of impending betrayal was intoxicating, a heady mix of power and malevolence that drove him forward. His chaotic evil nature, once a hidden facet of his personality, now defined his every action. The tale of Theshoon, the Greedy, is one of betrayal, power, and insatiable greed. His path, marked by the suffering of others, serves as a grim reminder of the depths to which one can sink in the pursuit of power. His story is a dark reflection of ambition, unchecked, and morality cast aside, a testament to the corrupting influence of absolute power. If you enjoyed this dark journey, please subscribe, share, and most importantly, leave a comment. Join us again at Dungeon Master's Bag of Holding for more tales from the depths of the abyss.